Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Hope you all doing very well. Welcome back to the training session series from the Deanship of eLearning and IT. Myself, Rima Shaheen, and today we are going to present a very interesting topic that is related to the instructional design for online and blended learning. Most of us, we know about actually the instructional design. This is not a new terminology, but why we are today talking about something online and blended learning courses. Nowadays, the courses online and the education system is implemented the blended learning, and it's a very essential part of the education system because of the new training environment. We must follow the instructions and we must follow the new things which is innovated and implemented in the education system to make the education more effective and more good outcomes for the learners. So today we will see the instructional design in the term of the how we can build our online course plus the blended learning course to make a more effective for the learners, and we will get the more innovative and interactive outcomes. The first question first, what is the instructional design? Let me explain in this definition, like the Association for the Education, Communication and Technology defines instructional design as the theory and the practice of design, development, utilization, management, and evaluation of the processes and resources for the learning. Basically, these terminologies so much familiar with the educators and the people who is related to the education system. These terminologies are not new, but why we are today discussing, today we will discuss what new components it is going to include in these parts and make it more effective outcomes. Like we know that now the education is turned into the new era, you can say, and everyone is essentially related to the online learning and which is related to the blended learning. So we also need to make the things more innovative and some more ingredient needs to add to make it more effective outcomes. So if I make it a little simple, this definition, so I can explain the instructional design like the process by which instruction is improved through the analysis of learning needs and systematic development of learning experience. If I point out the two main things, that is the learning needs and systematic development. We first analyze what actually we need to change, or what actually we need to make improvement on it to get the actual outcomes. So first of all, to doing anything, we should know what actually we want, what actually the outcomes we need to do. And the systematic development of the learning experience. Basically, you can say that when you analyze the problem and then you will be fix it by the development of the different using the different model and different things to make your learning experience well. Instructional design is the design, development, and delivery of learning experience. It constructs those experiences in such a way that learner acquire other knowledge or skills. What would be the outcome for us? What would be the outcomes for the learner? Either it would be a knowledge or any skill. So instruction designer follow the various academic theories and models related to how people learn and cognitive process behind the learning experience. This model ensures the instruction is as effective as possible for the imparting knowledge or teaching skill to learners. So now you can say that what is actually the need of the learners? They need the more effective information, the piece of information and the knowledge, or just make their build different skills for them. So if I explain a little bit about what is the learning experience, the learning experience can refer to anything from teacher in the classroom to online courses, instructional manuals, PowerPoint presentations, and simulations. It includes any experience where the intention is for learning of any kind to take place. Instruction designers are considered to architects or learning experiences in both education and corporate environment. Then they often serve as directors and the project managers to the course lesson and development process. So what we finalized by this definition, that according to this definition, instructional designer have two primary functions. The first one, analyze learning needs, and the second one, to systematic development, improve learning experiences. As I already explained you, today we will talk about this something which is trending education system and the need of our learners, that is related to the online learning or something blended learning. Like in a COVID, we are just directly moved to the online learning and suddenly everything is happened. So we are just in a panic mode. All the instructor, all the educators just get in a panic mode and suddenly they just find out the different solutions and then implement it very successful in all over the world. But we also need all the planning, everything, all the analysis, development, design, implementation, evaluation with the online learning or a blended learning as just we need for the traditional education system. Today, I'm here not to tell you, you all are the educators and the lecturers. You know very well how to teach. Today, I'm here to tell you how you will be able to improve your teaching and how you will be able to improve your course content, how you will be able to make all the things which is going towards the training education system and for the future education system to get the more effective knowledge or skills for the learners. So, if I talk about something which is related to the online learning instructional design, so it's a process by which course designers plan out the structure and flow of their online courses, ensuring that all steps and parts are included so that their education goals are met. You can say the procedure would be changed, the model would be changed, but the base of anything would never be changed. I cannot say that you will be change the instructional design basics, but no, you will add some more ingredients to make it more effective for the learners. By implementing instructional design technique, what you can do for the online environment, that would be develop a comprehensive planning process, determine which design helps students learn more effectively, identify any failure in the learning process. This is the most important part, because when you are connected with anything which is not totally controlled by you, like the system, devices, or anything, so you must focus on what actually the failure. If you are talking about any traditional education system, there is a less chance of the failures, but there are some. But if I'm talking about something that related to the internet devices, some online learning or something which is, we are going to depend on something which is not in our control something. So we just know what is the risk factors and how we will be identify the failures in the learning process. Okay, right now, one question must be arise in your mind, like what is basically the difference in the online instructional design and the simple traditional education system instructional design? This is basically a design to make or analyze or develop or implement or evaluation. What make a difference? Actually, basically, when we include some more things to make the outcome more effective, that is basically a difference between the for the online course creations and for the traditional course creations. If I'm talking about the e-content design, so we use the different tools to make it more effective and more interactive. And basically, this is a need of the learning process. The authoring tool, the main authoring tool, give one huge difference between the traditional education system and the online course creations. And some video tools, some interactive content tools. So these are the different tools which make a difference between the outcomes of a simple traditional instructional design course or the online instructional design course. Here is a different number of the authoring tools. If I talk about the core part of the changing in the, for when you are going to create an instructional design for the online learning, so this tool, these kind of tools are the main core part. That would be called the authoring tool. So you can see we have a number of names are here. You can use any of them, the Adopt Captive, the Story, the N360s, and the different names are available here. the Camtasia and different, maybe these are the very familiar with you or maybe not. But you can go and try these kind of the authoring to make your instructional design and the course creation more effectively. Okay, until what is actually today, I just feel like don't go with the little traditional way to from very basics to the upper level to explain about from the basics to the up. Today, I just decided to explain first of all the front end, what actually we need, which I discuss about the online learning and what is the instructional design for the online learning. Basically, these are our outcomes. These are our front end nowadays. Now I will move toward some basics, because for anything, basics would not be changed. You can innovate it, you can just implement the new things, but you can't going to change any kind of the basics. So let's move toward to know about what actually the basic components of the instructional design. Okay, these four names are basically very much familiar. Like by the names, you can judge what actually the meaning of this analysis of related to your instructions, what you are going to do. We will just discuss this in a very detail, inshallah. So let's move toward the second one, that is design and development. Then you have to test what you design and what you develop, and then you have to evaluate. Evaluation is basically a last outcome and actual outcome. You will know what you do, what you analyze, it will be failure or a successful. The evaluation basically tells you that. So these are the basic parts, you can say basic component of instructional design. Now let's move toward how we will add the different and the innovative things to include in these basic components to make the things more effective outcomes for the online learning course or for the blended learning course. First of all, let me explain the analysis. Which kind of analysis we need for the online course or for creation of any blended learning course. The analysis phase is the foundation of our learning or training process. The deliverables of this phase are the building blocks for all subsequent design and development activities. Basically, the building block of this process is the analysis. Let me explain about the analysis and the importance of analysis. First of all, you will identify the desired skills. What actually we want, what actually the outcome is necessary for us. Measure the existing skills, what we already have. So these two things, what we already have and what we want, there is a one gap. So if I go towards the next process, that is a dual future vision, what actually you want to develop and the dual skill profile. And then we will find actually what is the gap, what we already have and what we want are outcomes, which kind of outcomes we want. So that fill that gap or analysis of that gap and plan to close this gap is basically analysis. When I know that what actually are my outcomes, what actually I need in a final result, so then I move toward the next phase. That would be a design. Instructional design is a process of using our knowledge of how people learn to guide our choice of instructional sequence and strategies to meet the need of the learner and the desired learning outcomes. For example, if I want to create any course, first of all, I want to analyze what actually the learner needs, what is their needs to improve for improvement and for effective outcomes. So then I will move toward to the next phase, that would be a design. I want to design that course according to that I will be able to get the outcomes. Now you can see here the best instructional design software tools are available here. I just list some nine different tools. You can say this will cover all the need of any one course, which is online, which will rely on the online learning system or a blended learning system. The first one is e-learning authoring tool. So this, you can say these different tools and softwares are a new aid for the instructional design to make the things more effective, which is essential for the e-learning course creation and development. So the first one is the e-learning authoring tools, the mind mapping tools, presentations tools, graphic and infographic tools, video tools, audio and sampling, interactive learning tools, survey tools, PDF and flipping book tools. These all presentation, we already on every point, if you are a reader here, we already have a presentation and training sessions on these different kind of the software and the tools, how you will be able to create the authoring tools, how you will be use mind mapping, presentation tools, graphic, infographic. We have all the information related to this in the previous sessions. You can get that session by the recording and the link as well. So I will share in the end of the session the previous recording, so you can go through all of these things which is related to the instructional design of the development of the online course creations. Okay, the third part. The third part is our development. The phase elaborate and built on the learning objectives and performance step that were produced in the design phase by flashing out all the previous content that was created in the pure two phases, analysis and design. Now this is a time of development. You will be merged the idea, your analysis plus your design, and you will convert into a development, a complete learning environment. So these three phases will give you a complete learning environment, and you will add the different aids and different components in it to make it more effective. So until here, I just explained all the basics, what actually the basics. So now we are going to talk about the designing and development. So what are the needs of design and development? How I will be able to know what is actually the standards of designing, what is actually is there any models, or is there anything which is which I need to go to follow for creating, for development, for design, analysis, each and everything. So yes, we have instruction design models, and I'm going to discuss the three very interesting and very famous models which is related to creation of the instruction design. So what is an instruction design model? Basically, is used to define the activities that will guide the development of e-learning projects. It allows you to communicate the process and the reason behind a strategy. A framework gives you a bird's eye view of all the major components that have to be included in the course. So your work is almost done. You have one framework, you need to put all your content on it, and you will just have a bird's eye to see actually what are the major components to make your course complete. So these frameworks are really important and essentials, and give us someone, you can say, one aid to make our work more easier for the instructors. Let's move toward know about these instructional design models. The first one is Addi, and it's a very famous one. If I see the process picture of this Addi, so you can see the first one is analyze, then you have to design, then develop, then implement, and then evaluate. So they add the sum of the ingredients more to make it more effective. So Addi is an instructional system design, you can say. This is a framework that many instructional designers and the training developers use to develop courses. Most current ISD models are variations of Addi process, because this is called somehow the basic of the instructional design models. So you add some more innovations and you will move toward the next model. So the Addi model, each step has an outcome that feed into the subsequent step. What does that mean? That means each component, the component, this analysis component, the design component, these are the different components, but the answer of this would be an aid of this one. and what would be you design the previous one, you will be just use in a development process. So these all are interconnected to each other. So, and from start to end, it's connected, and you can use it to develop your course effectively. Let's move toward to know about a little more information about it to better understanding. I have a one graphic video for you to know about in a graphic mode, which would be a more understandable for you guys to know about the AD model. Let's have a look what actually it is.
In this video, I'll provide a general overview of the Addi model of instructional design. Addi is one of the most popular models for creating training curriculum. The Addi model provides learning designers with an essential structure for designing curricula in any learning environment, such as in education, corporate settings, government, nonprofit, or any other organization where learning takes place. Addi is composed of 5 essential stages: analysis, design, development, implementation, and evaluation. Let's take a look at each of these in more detail, starting with the analysis stage. At the analysis stage, instructional designers gather information and make decisions that will make the training development process much smoother later. There are several major activities that occur at this stage. Instructional designers identify the training needs. Learning objectives are created that address the needs. They define who their audience is to which the instruction will be targeting. The training content is selected that will help the target audience achieve the learning objectives. The most appropriate delivery methods are then selected. The resources and constraints are established that direct by when the project will be complete, the budget allotted, and the resources available. During this stage, communication begins with those who may be involved in the design or implementation. This may include graphic designers, corporate trainers, and more. This information is used to guide the activities of the instructional designers during the next stage, the design stage. During the design stage, the instructional designer creates the blueprint for the instruction. There are several major activities included in this stage. The learning content and information is sequenced into logical segments or units. Storyboards are created for e-learning modules or training videos. Rough drafts of scripts or training outlines are created. Digital media, print media, and other deliverables are prototyped. Communication continues with the design team and the SMEs. The learning project's instructional, visual, and technical design strategies are documented and reviewed by the relevant stakeholders on the project.
It's 21 hours.
These aspects need to be signed off before moving on to the next stage. Once the design of the instruction is signed off by the stakeholders, instruction is moved into the next stage, development. Several important activities happen during the development stage. The developers create, assemble, and organize the digital and print deliverables that were begun in the design phase. Training videos are recorded, edited, and produced. E-learning and any technological aspects of training are tested and finalized. The project documentation of the strategies are further reviewed, and feedback is given to the instructional designers. Some or all of the training may be piloted with a select group of individuals, including members of the learning design team. Once the stakeholders sign off on the design strategies, the project is moved into the next stage, the implementation stage. This is the stage in which training actually is delivered. During this stage, videos, e-learning, help aids, and other materials are accessed by the participants. Also, the learners outside of the test groups now participate in the classes and training. Evaluation intersects with each of the other stages of the training process. This involves 2 major components, the formative evaluation and the summative evaluation. The formative evaluation describes the examination that is done throughout the other 4 stages of the training process. The formative evaluation allows those involved in the training or curriculum development to recognize potential barriers to the training before they happen, respond to training challenges as they occur, avoid repeating mistakes, and make course corrections as needed. The summative evaluation focuses on examining the outcome of the training during the implementation stage. The information gathered from the summative evaluation continues to guide the project design process. In the Addi model, these 5 stages are not always linear. They build off one another, and how this model is implemented will vary depending on the project.
So each component is
In this
interconnected with each other. You can't say that the one component is just enough for any outcome. If you're going to analyze, or you will be going to evaluate it, if you are going to design, you must need the content which is related to the analyzation. So you can say this model is basically give a one complete idea how you are going to start. So let's move towards the next one, that is a Bloom's taxonomy. So this is a very important and very famous model, instructional design model. It is basically revised in 2001, define the 6 level of cognitive learning, with the simplest at the bottom up to the most complex and the deepest learning as an instructional design framework. Bloom's taxonomy ensures that learners push through the lower level of remembering and understanding new information to being able to apply it, analyze it, evaluate it, its impact, and ultimate to solve the unique problem by creating solutions that would not have been possible without the new knowledge. So the basic structure of this, you can say, if it's a remembering, understanding, applying, analyze, evaluate, and creating. Let's move toward to know more about the Bloom's taxonomy. In this video, it will be explained really well. Let's have a look.
Bloom's taxonomy is a toolbox that teachers or students can use to classify and organize learning objectives. Its most popular version is based on the cognitive domain and assumes that learning should be structured from easy to difficult in the following 6 steps. 1. Remember. 2. Understand. 3. Apply. 4. Analyze. 5. Evaluate. 6. Create. On the first level, we learn to remember. There is just rote memorization and recollection of facts without much understanding. For example, if we learn about lemons, we want to remember the name, shape, color, size, and that they are sour. Once we memorize these essentially meaningless facts, we move to the second level of learning. On level 2, we learn to understand. We begin to decode information and learn that a lemon is yellow when it's ripe to eat, and if we take a bite, that it's really super sour. We also understand that lemons love sunshine and that they contain lots of vitamin C, which is a great natural antioxidant that keeps us healthy. Now, as we really understand a lemon, we can work with it. On the third level, we apply what we know. We've understood that while lemons are sour, they are also a great provider of vitamin C. To apply this knowledge in a meaningful way, we could boil a lemon into hot water and add some honey. Then serve this hot lemon to our sick sister who's in need of treatment. On the fourth level, we learn to analyze. This involves examining and breaking down information into components, determining how the parts relate to one another, and finding evidence to support generalizations. We study the lemon flesh, examine the skin, and look at levels of vitamins. We conclude that we can eat everything inside, while the skin tastes bitter and contains traces of toxic pesticides. It ought not to be consumed. Now we are ready to evaluate. We analyze, critique, and compare. To evaluate our lemon as a good source of vitamins, we compare it to other sources, such as oranges and supplements. We look at the following properties: vitamin levels, affordability, taste, and packaging waste. If we evaluate our thoughts critically and without bias, we learn where the lemons score high and where others score higher. Now, after we have learned, understood, applied, analyzed, and evaluated, we are ready to create. As we now really understand lemons, also in comparison to similar things, we can formulate a plan to create our own natural lemonade. It's now easy to come up with a cute shop design, a good name, and a good slogan: natural, healthy, yummy. Bloom's taxonomy was first created in 1946 by American psychologist Benjamin Bloom. The revised version from 2001, as just presented, serves as the backbone of many teaching philosophies, in particular, those that aim towards teaching specific skills. Each level usually comes with a clear learning objective that can be tested. Critics of the taxonomy often question the existence of a sequential, hierarchical link between each level. What are your thoughts?
So you can see we can use the different models to get the outcome more effectively. If we use the basic Addi model, you can get the outcomes, but if you use the different models to make the more effective learning and wants to get the more effective and what you actually want, the outcomes you can find of that one. So this is very important because this is just unlike, this was just a one example, you can say. If I just quote here the one example, for example, we just had a LMS system, like we have a Blackboard. So first of all, they analyzed the needs of the students because they were distance learning students, and then suddenly moved toward the COVID environment. So that would be essential for us to implement the LMS system. So we had a different LMS system. We analyzed the what outcomes and what are the important things which fulfill our learning needs. Then we implemented, and it would be just start using by the instructors and the teachers in before the COVID, and then move toward the just strict with that Blackboard. And then after that, we have some evaluations that how it's worked, how the people are thinking about the learning management system. They are satisfied with the outcomes. Before we have Jasur, then Jump, then Blackboard. That why we changed a different LMS system, because our needs increase. Our needs related to the LMS increase, and we need more functionality and features to getting actually effective outcome, because there is a very different kind of the problems with the Jasur and the Jump, and then we move toward the ones which fulfill our all outcomes and fulfill all our need of the students. So this is important thing to implement the thing from very scratch to end level, to analyze it, design, develop, implement, and then evaluate that one. So instructional design is important because it's unlike with the face-to-face learning, which gives teachers the freedom to go off script. In online learning, the whole process is preset, so designer need to anticipate any possible hiccups during the planning stages. Structuring, content, and result are of greater importance in the e-learning. Instructional design make creating the course easier, but also ensure that all the learning goals are met. For instructional designer, the benefit of the process are felt in the production phase, while for student, they are felt when the class is launched. So they make sure that the instructional design must be fulfill all the things which is related to the move pre-existing content online, some share information and generate interest on it, encourage the participation, and you can say the ensure student retain what they learn, and motivate the students. So these are the different things you can say we implemented it.
Please share them in the
just one example to tell how we work on it.
blue.
Let's move toward the third one, that is the game design event of instructions. Let's have a look what actually this have. There is some difference in the implementation, how to analyze, how to create it, but the base are the same. Let's have a look how we have the 9 units of instruction. The first one is the gain students' intention, inform students of objective. Third one is simulate recall of prior learning, present the content, provide learning guidance, elicit performance, provide feedback, access performance, enhance retention, and transfer to the job. What actually the mean of all these 9 instructions? Let's have a look and to get understanding of these all instruction which is presented by the gainees.
The Conditions of Learning by Robert Gagne. You've probably never thought about how someone learns to throw a ball, or how a child learns to write. They are very different skills, but the steps in learning them are quite similar and have been theorized by Robert Gagne's Conditions of Learning. So who was Robert Gagne? Well, he was born in 1916 in Massachusetts. He trained as an education psychologist and worked in aviation during World War II. After the war, he returned to education and went on to write his seminal work, The Conditions of Learning, in 1965. Gagne states that there are many types of learning, which require different instruction. He identifies 5 major categories of learning. The first of these is verbal information, which is simply memorizing facts and being able to recite them later on. Intellectual skills are not only knowing what, but how to do something, like solving a puzzle. Cognitive strategies allow us to manage and plan our learning process, telling us how to go about performing a task. Motor skills are based around precise muscular movements to engage in an activity, such as swinging a golf club. Finally, attitudes are the outcomes of learning that influence choices of personal action, such as influencing a willingness to exercise.
So it's take one example, and it is explaining about some different components. The first one is the verbal information, intellectual skills, cognitive strategies, motor skills, and then attitude. This will just complete a one phase that will tell you about the different components about it.
Gagne also goes on to outline 9 events of instruction, which he states are events external to the learner that support the internal processes of learning. The first of these is to gain attention. This is a stimulus of some sort to begin instruction, such as a story or connecting with the learner's own experiences. Informing the learner of the objective is telling the learner what they'll be able to do at the end of the instruction. An example of this is telling a class that they will be able to write narrative texts. The next step is to stimulate recall of prior knowledge. This is connecting what the learner is about to learn to what they already know. Presenting the materials is the next step. This involves presenting content across a range of different modes, so as to best engage the learner. The next step is to provide guidance to the learner. This is to ensure the learner is comfortable during the various learning activities at all times, and to assist them if they are confused. Step 6 is to elicit performance. This is where the learner can practice and apply their skills. This gives the learner a chance to develop on their own under the guidance of their instructor. The next step is to give feedback. This feedback should be specific instead of general by providing specific praise and criticisms so the learner is fully aware of where to go next. Step 8 is to assess performance. This is where the learner can be evaluated and their success determined. It also identifies areas where the learner can improve. Finally, step 9 is enhanced retention and transfer. This allows a review of the lesson and gives the learner a chance to apply their skills in the field and to see if they have retained them. So what are the benefits of Gagne's conditions of learning? Well, it provides a stepped approach for the learning process. It allows the learner to be fully engaged when all the steps are followed. And it allows the educator to stop and reflect on their own practice, ensuring that they have followed each of the steps involved in the learning process.
So, in this model, explain about the different 9 steps, and each step is important for the learners and get the effective learning outcomes. It will be just more important benefit. The learner will be fully engaged with this model. Now let's move toward the last phase, that is evaluation. So if I revise that one, in the phase of analysis, you use the different tools and you use the different content, which is the some already existing content, and you just analyze what actually we have and what actually we need as an outcome. Then you move toward the design and development phase. You just figure out different software tools for the online learning or blended learning, content creation or a course creation, how different tools can be used to make it develop more effective content for the learner. For that purpose, you can use the different models. We have the Addi, the Bloom's taxonomy, and then the Gain is 9 instructional model. So you can use any of them to get the more effective results. Now, the last step, that is evaluation. After doing all this procedure, what is the core part of that procedure, that is evaluation? What you did, either it would be successful or you can say some have failure risk. You can just find out by the evaluation is the process of determining whether the design instructions meet its intended goal. In addition, evaluations help us to determine whether learner can transfer the skills and knowledge learned back into a long term changes in behavior and skill required for the target context. So this is basically important to know the actual you got your intended goals or not. The evaluation will be kind of the reactions, the learning, the behavior, the results. These are the different components which actually help you to evaluate what actually you implemented and what are the results. So evaluation is the last part of instructional design phase, so which will help us to actually know actually all the procedure which is interconnected, and you can just figure out that it's successfully implemented or not. So this is all about the instructional design for the online course creation and for the blended learning course creation. Hope it helps you guys to understand about this session. Is not, you can say this is the end of this session. Basically this is the start of a new learning, new things need to implement in your course design, need to implement different tools, use your different tools to implement your content more effective. Either it's for the classroom, for the environment of a blended learning, traditional environment, or online learning. So we give different ideas in front of you and explain how it would be give you a more effective outcome. So you are now, your journey is just started. It's not it's mean that this session is ended and everything is okay ended. No, this is a start for you to grab the new things, to apply, implement, design, and then evaluate with the different kind of information I shared here and in all the session series. Basically, our purpose is to spread the awareness about how you will be able to create more improvement in your final outcomes for the learners. Hope I explained this well. If you have any question, you can ask me.